Good morning, everybody. Here we are again for another episode of 3Turn3. We are a tiny few seconds late. Why? Because we were talking skating. I am PJ Kwong. I'm joined by Mazen Thomas and Charlene Bailey. How are you guys doing?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
What's going on?
You know, the usual. We were also a little bit late because my dog was barking, but aside from that,
For heaven's
we're
sakes.
good. We are good here. Mazen, how's it going over there?
I'm great now that I've got my second cup of coffee going, so it's all good.
We're all in the right spot. Okay, we're going to talk skating. There is so much going on. Do you guys have any impressions of Skate Canada?
You know what? Piper and Paul. That's all I have to say.
I know.
That's it. I would say I have one word, but it's 3 words. Piper and Paul. That's it. That's it.
I also want to talk about Kamila Valieva, record-setting Russian. We hear that word, those 3 words, a lot. But honestly, I think Piper and Paul for me, and Wen Jingsui and Song Han were the performances of the day. I'm just letting a person backstage know that they're in the wrong spot. I hope everybody's joining us on either our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, PJ Kwong, or on my Facebook page, PJ Kwong, or at Skating PJ on Twitter. We've got our first comment of the day. Wow, Elizabeth Cardosa-Taylor, who is a longtime viewer. She's going to have to watch later as the Grand Prix in Italy is in the first warm-up group for the women. So should we get into my podium picks for this event? Let's do it. Yeah. Why not? Did you guys have a chance to take a look at the entry lists?
Yep.
Okay, so my pick is Sherbakova, who is the current world champion for the women's event. What are yours?
I don't like making picks. I'm not a gambling man, PJ. I like to just see how the pieces fall. And I know that's a really boring response, but it's just, I don't like making, you never know what's going to happen, you know?
I know what's going to happen. It's all up here, Charlene. What about you, Mazen?
Okay, so I'm going to leave the picks up to you. Okay, PJ.
No, that's not right.
I'm going to just say that I just get really excited to be able to watch a few of the competitors listed on the entry list. You know, like for instance, once again, Miyahara is skating and she did such a great job.
Miyahara. She's a Maya. She's not a Mia. That's
Maya.
Okay.
And she's skating again this weekend in Italy, in Torino. And so I'm looking forward to seeing her. I think she had an amazing competition last weekend at Skate Canada, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her and see how she does back to back.
I saw her in the Asian Open, and you know what? She's beautiful. She's lyrical. She just floats across the ice. I just love watching her. You know, the other person I'm looking forward to seeing is Satoku Miyahara. Right. I have a real soft spot for her. I've got a real soft spot, for the veterans. And she has moved to sort of the Toronto area for training, and I just love her. I mean,
she's such a sweetie. She just like, even if you don't, you know, I don't know her personally, but you just watch her skate and you're like, she's a sweetie. She's just a sweetie.
Exactly. So fingers crossed for her. Now, what about the men? Mazen, I'm going to get you to start.
Well, okay. So I really am looking forward to seeing the Russian fella again. And his name is Mikhail Kolyada. So I watched him skate previously at, you know what? I think it was Nebelhorn that he was at. Forgive me if I'm wrong, everybody, but nonetheless, his programs were fantastic. I think he is one to watch and to not discard at all. If he is on, he is just as much of a contender as any of the other fantastic skaters in the men's event. And I just think he is, I think he's really working his way up towards peaking at the Olympics.
So who else is in that event? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah. So we have also Boyan Jin from China, who I'm looking forward to kind of watching, as well as Danielle Grassel from Italy, and Yuma Kajiyama from Japan, and Kazuki Tomono from Japan as well. You guys have to forgive me with the pronunciation of all of these different names coming through this. Not a lot of practice. and
you know what?
Jun Won Cha from Korea.
So Junhwan is an interesting character, and so is Boyan Jin for the same reason. Talent up the wazoo. That's a technical term. And yet sometimes in performance, difficulties with nerves. In both cases at the Asian Open in Beijing, that was sort of like kind of what happened. So in my mind, it's Yuma Kageyama's competition to lose. I've got my podium picks, PJ's podium picks on my blog, pjkwong.com/blog, if you want to check it out. Okay, let's move on to the ice dance event. There is only really one team competing. Just saying. Just saying.
I mean, that's a bold statement, but you're not wrong.
Gabriela Papadakis and Guillaume Cizeron, who, in my mind, I mean, there are two teams that I expect to be Olympic champions. In the ice dance event, I expect it's going to be Gabriela and Guillaume. You know what? There could not be a better physical match anywhere at any time. They just present as one on the ice. It's really quite wonderful. If you guys have your own podium picks, by the way, just drop them into the comments and we will be happy to get to you. Did you guys have any thoughts about ice dance?
You summed it up for me. They just are the perfect pair.
Yeah.
Like it's what's wrong with them? Nothing. There's nothing. You can't unless you're just being mean, which we spoke to last week.
Say
there's
less.
nothing wrong. And exactly. And that's not anything wrong with them. You're just being mean. Mazen, yourself?
Yeah,
You're gonna be mean,
absolutely
say less.
agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. You know what? The two of them together are not only just an amazing pair, but they're just a great match on the ice.
That's good.
They're a great combination. They're a great complement to one another. They're like a fine wine that just goes with great food. You know, they just really blend together really well. I like them a lot.
They're the fine wine. We're the great food here at 3Turn3. Just saying. Just saying. I also want us to keep our eyes on another couple of dance teams. One is Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue, fresh off a win at Skate America. Mm-hmm. The other is Stepanova and Bukhin from Russia. All of these teams are contenders for the podium. But as I said, I think that it's Gabriela and Guillaume's competition to be sure. Everybody else is going to be duking it out for second and third. But I imagine that both those teams I just mentioned will be the teams to end up in second and third. So stay tuned for that. Okay, pairs.
Oh, well, come on. Sorry, Charlene, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead. I can't wait to hear this.
Well, I mean, obviously.
He takes a sip so she doesn't have to talk. Good call.
The Chinese pair team is once again going to do their thing. And I just think this is going to give them that much more exposure, that much more confidence, you know, making their way towards the Grand Prix final, making their way towards the Olympic Games. So I think
talking about Wen Jingsui and Song Han.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, this is going to sound strange. I love her hair. I love how it swooshes. Yeah. I love it's kind of with a carefree, sort of youthful abandon. I love her hair. I know most pair skaters have their hair sort of like tucked back or in a bun or something like that. But so Wen Jing, girl, I love it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
But it's like, it's with such poise. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Kirsten Moore Towers called her the queen of pairs. So she's not wrong.
And you know what, Kirsten knows a thing or two about pairs. Speaking of favorite pair skaters. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. So Wen Jingsui and Song Han are my early pick for Olympic gold. So we've got two potential Olympic gold medalists in this Grand Prix in Italy. Where do you guys sit? What do you think?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you as well on pairs. For me, it's not even a question. I mean, there are a couple choice Russian teams that I think will step up and do that thing. But yeah.
I like Tarasova and Morozov as a Russian team. Actually, there's a lot of Russian teams there that are fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, and I love the fact that Tarasova and Morozov, when they perform in that sort of classical, elegant way, I think it suits them to the T. Mm-hmm. Maz, what do you think? You're a former pair skater.
So limited, but do you know what I think? I think that if there are two Russian teams that are just fantastic, in my opinion, and with the competition of the Chinese pair team as well, I think that those three teams are vying for a gold medal at the Olympics this year. And if all of them skate to the best of their ability, it's going to be a really tough battle. And you always hope that throughout the competition season, making your way towards the Olympics, that the competitors will actually skate to the best of their ability, because that's what you want. You want that Olympic performance, you know, and rightfully so, for you to be able to earn that gold medal. And if they all do it, boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's going to be a very exciting event to watch. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
And there's a lot of depth, I find, in the pair event. Even, you know, like it's not that these skaters are any less than. I think we always talk about the podium, but it's important to talk about, you know, who is also not on the podium. There is such depth in pair skating, I think, as a testament to, you know, Megan and Eric elevating the game and others. But there is depth, like Ash and Tim from the States. Good pair team.
Very good.
Kirsten and Mike here. Eric and Vanessa here. Like, everyone is capable of some big stuff. It's just who's going to deliver it on that day.
That day.
Evelyn and Trent as well.
Yes.
They've made some great strides over the last few years. I think that there's been terrific improvement. So before we move to sort of things that are a little bit closer to home, and again, for our audience, make sure that if you want to drop in some comments, whether you want to agree or disagree with our podium picks, you are welcome to chime in. I want to talk about the fact that I was able to sort of relax, stop clenching my pearls with Nathan Chen's performance this past weekend at Skate Canada. Really very much back on track, not to take away from Vincent Joe, who won Skate America the week before, his fellow American skater, a wonderful skater. But I love the fact that Nathan, again, he represents everything for me that is modern and fresh about men's figure skating. I love his choice of music. I love his look on the ice. You know, the fact that he can jump for days, it makes it super exciting to watch. So what did you guys think about Nathan?
He makes skating cool again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, back in the day when I was a baby, you know, I had the Elvises and the Bryans and the Kurts, and skating was so cool. It was so cool. And I feel like Nathan is bringing that vibrance back. Not that it ever necessarily left, but he's just like unapologetically himself. He's not trying to be classical. He's just being Nathan. And I think that's what makes it so cool, especially with the whole drama with the RAF situation and the outside the bubble and that whole debacle. He laid it down. He is Mr. Consistent, most, like, you know, general, minus Skate America.
Do you know what I think sometimes, and let's just mention Rafael Aratuni and his coach accidentally went beyond the bubble area within the rink. So I experienced this too when I was in Beijing. There was a specific area that was bubbled, and you were only allowed to go to that area and the hotel and back, and that was it. And if you stepped outside the bubble, then you were no longer, you were compromising perhaps people inside the bubble because you had been exposed in areas that weren't controlled. So Rafael, by accident, stepped outside the bubble and wasn't able to get back in. So people may have noticed that in the free program, Nathan was sitting on his own in the kiss and cry, and that was the reason why. But again, you know, this is a very, very intelligent young man. Not only is he a talented skater, but he's a smart guy. So he's able to process things. And I think to have that streak broken at Skate America psychologically was not a bad thing, because it means that you know for sure, okay, so it broke, okay, and the next day I skated okay. So, or the next week rather. So I think to be able to sort of like put that to rest rather than wondering, when is somebody going to beat me? When is somebody going to beat me? When is somebody going to beat me? To have it happen, okay, the sun came out the next day. So Mazen, your thoughts on Nathan?
He's back.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you know, if you want to kind of think about what took place at Skate America in comparison to what took place at Skate Canada, you know, Skate America, from what I understood, in his words, you know what, he felt a little nervous. It had been quite a bit of time since he had competed, you know, and getting out there in front of judges. So, you know what, he showed that he was human. He showed that, you know what, yeah, this is something that you have to do consistently to be able to keep gaining your confidence. And you know what, from one week to the other week, he came out, and within that week's time, he felt obviously much better. and he knew that he was trained, and he went out there and did what Nathan does. And I just kudos to him. Kudos to him. I just think that it was fantastic. And then you put on top of that the hiccup of, you know, having his coach for the free program not being able to kind of be down there with him, you know, shoulder to shoulder, just kind of guiding him throughout. You know, he thought to himself, you know what, this is a challenge, and he stepped up to it. So good for him.
And you know what? I think with anything, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Which is where Skate America was.
Exactly.
Okay, I wrote about Grand Prix Italia or Grand Prix Italy, whatever we're calling it. Anyway, it's on my blog, pjkwong.com/blog. Make sure you check it out and feel free to leave me a comment. I'll get back to you for sure now that I know where my blog is. Honestly, sometimes I scare myself. Okay, speaking to I think Nathan's biggest rival at the Olympic Games is going to be Japan's Yuzuru Hanyu. In another week's time, there will be the NHK Trophy taking place in Japan, the next Grand Prix event. Yuzuru Hanyu had been slated to compete and was in fact going to attempt a quad axel. Quad axel, people, that's 4.5 revolutions in the air, landing on one foot. Exactly, Charlene. That's exactly what I think. Now, I'm getting my information from Twitter, so take it as it is. I'm looking for information here and there, but there are enough people and reasonable people and credible people who said it. So it appears as if Yuzuru will not be competing at the NHK Trophy, allegedly, as Twitter says, and that he has injured his right ankle, allegedly, again, from the Twitterverse. I see it as a possibility, and I remember when he attempted a quad lutz, I think it was a quad lutz in competition and landed on his toe pick rather than on the glide of the edge and went over on the ankle at that time. So ligament injuries can be a real
Birch tree.
There's a good word to try and improve upon. Here we are. I don't know. We are something like 75 days to the Olympic Games. They can take a long time to heal. So
yep. Especially when you're using them often, unless you're off.
Well, and here's the thing. I think that if anybody can come back from injury and compete, that man has the heart of a lion. So, but what do you guys think about the injury? And by the way, Janet Hoopy has just told us, really enjoying hearing our perspective. We're really happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Yuzuru. So now this means that he's got an uphill battle for sure, a real hill to climb.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are always really tricky because in order to properly heal them, you need to be completely off. And in order to stay up with the competitive demands of this sport, especially nowadays, you don't get to be completely off, especially when it's a ligament situation. I am no doctor. I have a degree to offer, but you know, as a former pair skater with very minimal experience, I have injuries from those days that still flare up in my old dinosaur age, and they never really go away, right? Yeah. So I think he's got his path laid ahead of him, and it's going to come down to, you know, like, I think longevity is something to consider. Like, if he wanted to skate for another 10 years, then like, is it really worth it to give it this season? But I have a feeling he's probably not going to back down from this season.
I don't think
that is not based on any actual knowledge. I'm just pulling this out of the air. Twitter is a nasty place, so don't come at me right now.
That's based on skating knowledge. That's based on being a coach.
Yeah,
that's based on being a skater and wanting to compete.
It's you know, you have to kind of like, what's the long term? What's the long game here? Is this his last Olympics? Is he going to give it everything? Is he going to sit back and recover? I don't see the latter happening. I see the former happening, but we'll see. Maz, what do you think?
You know, I think he's adding to the suspense. I think he's adding to the drama. I think he's adding to the excitement and the anticipation. If anybody is going to be able to pull through this for that time period, he's going to be that individual that's going to be able to do that. I can tell you that what little I have seen and what little I have known, that, you know what, he takes those things very seriously, you know,
Yep.
as one at that level should. And so he's going to do everything within his power to follow direction and do exactly what's necessary for him to be on his A game, you know, moving forward. So, yeah, it adds to the suspense that he's potentially and allegedly not going to compete at this event. But at the same point in time, you know, he's taking it probably day by day and thinking to himself, you know what, I'm going to wait until I am close to 100%, you know, physically and injury free, to be able to go out there to execute and to do what I know I can do. That's what I think.
You know, the cool thing about Yuzuru is that when he gets on the ice and he's in the zone, I hate using cliches like that, but you can see it in his eyes. Honestly, you just, even before the music starts, you go, whoa, everybody, let's just watch for a moment, because he's going to do something special here. Nathan Chen is a little bit like that too. I remember being at the Four Continents Championships, which was the test event for 2018 Olympic Games in Korea. So I guess it was the 2017 Four Continents, maybe. Anyway, don't remember. They all sort of flow in together. But that was the time that Nathan did, I think, 6 quads in the same free program, which had never been done before. And you just go, I'm watching this sport evolve before my eyes. You know what I mean? And it's the same with Yuzuru Hanyu. When he steps on the ice, you think, I am watching history in the making in this next free program. It's quite fascinating. So we all wish him well. That Siri off to the left, who thinks I'm talking to her, usually.
Hi, Siri. Thanks for joining us.
That's right. That brings our numbers up. Anyway, I want to talk about stuff a little bit closer to home, because we've just got about 5 or 6 minutes left. Anybody who wants to chime in on our conversation about Nathan, about Yuzuru, about Guillaume, and Gabriella, about Wenjing and Sui. Wenjing and Song. Sorry, I just said her first and last name as if it was 2 different people. What's wrong with me? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Skate Ontario sectionals.
Yay!
So they're taking place this weekend in Milton. I know for a fact that there is a live stream of the event that you can access via cbcsports.ca. It's not geofenced, so anywhere in the world you can watch the Skate Ontario sectional event, which includes senior, junior, and senior level competition. There are a couple of names that you're going to want to listen, you're going to want to hear about. One is Gabrielle Daleman. Gabby Daleman is going to be competing. And Mazen, you seem to think that Maddie Skizas, who's fresh off Skate Canada, that she will be competing as well.
That's what I understand. Yeah, that's what I understand, as well as Alison Schumacher, who just came off of Skate Canada, and Michelle Long, another one of our top contenders at Nationals. So, you know, it'll be nice to be able to hopefully watch, you know, all of the senior ladies, but looking out for those 4 as well.
Well, I think that this is a very important competition in that it's the qualifying event for what we call the challenge event here in Canada. Challenge event is the actual qualifying event for our nationals. Nationals will be part of the decision that Skate Canada uses to decide who goes to the Olympic Games. So there's lots at stake. There is not a time where you can go out and compete and not try and put your best foot forward. I think that's a fair statement. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of pressure this year, especially coming off of COVID. It's a big year. And you know what? For people who maybe don't consider themselves or you know, at large are not considered Olympic contenders, there are still other opportunities that are at stake. I know that Four Continents is an option for those who maybe don't go. It depends how Skate Canada divvies it up. It's all up to their discretion. So I don't get involved in those podium picks. But there's a lot at stake here. And a lot of people have been very public about their retirement this year. So it's kind of like a big year heading into Canadian nationals, because, you know, this might be the last time that we're watching a number of individuals skate. And so I think even looking forward, it's like, okay, where does this leave Canadian figure skating?
Well, I would say that the most fair statement about Canadian figure skating is that we are definitely in a building phase. I mean, you can't have as many. Here's the link, by the way, for anybody who wants to try and find the live stream, skateontario.org. And then there's a link that you can click on to take you to streaming, or you can go to cbcsports.ca. But I think that we're in a building phase. I think that, there are some, I think that the pairs and the dancers are perhaps a little bit further along. Yes. But we've got some great talent here in Canada. And they just need some opportunities to really compete. Let's talk about the men. There was a name that jumped out at me as I looked at the list. Stephen Gogolev, former junior world champion and all-around phenom, is going to be competing at the sectional championships. Why haven't we seen him? Do you guys know?
Injury, from what I understand.
Exactly. There's that old injury nonsense again.
Yeah.
I think
growing.
that Steve, growing. He's now 16 years old.
Oh my God.
I know. What happened to the 9-year-old?
In my mind, he's just like a sweet young lad. Well, he still is, I guess, but
he's a lovely
16.
I know. So he used to be here, even on the page, and I'm quite short. I'm sure he's closer to here now. Nam Nguyen did exactly the same thing. Used to be here and now here. So when you haven't been in the limelight for a little while, is it more difficult to compete, or is it more exciting to compete? If you could put on your skater hat for a second.
I think it depends who you are.
Okay.
I think it depends who you are. If I'm going back to Charlene Bailey competitive days, I was a terrible competitor because I was nervous. So I think I would be a ball of nerves. I needed to compete more. But some people thrive in a training environment and they just go lay it down. Maz, what about you?
Yeah, you know what? Some people thrive on the process, right? The training process, and they just love it. They love the tough work ethic, the sacrifice that they make, and then they tend to kind of like clam up for competition. And then others strive on the competition. It's almost like, a fuel to their fire. They just want to get out there and they want to show people how much they've improved and how hard they've worked. And very often that's how you can kind of try to, to just maneuver nerves, that young people face. And that is just remind themselves of how hard they've worked and, how much they have improved. And so now this is just your time to be able to show everybody how much you have, put back into your sport, for yourself. Yeah.
Okay, last question. And Charlene is going to end this section for us because she's all about the fashion. And as we all know, that ain't my strong suit. Okay, I want to talk about the Team Canada uniforms.
Okay, are we going there? Yeah, we're going there. Okay.
I would like to first, full disclosure, and these opinions are ours, and no one else's.
Strictly
PJ,
ours.
you can leave it.
I had a little bit of an exchange with my pal Laura Ewing from Canadian Press, who loves them, and I just wrote her one word back and went, "Really?" with a question mark. That sort of tells you where I am. A couple of things I don't like about it. Don't love the color. That kind of muddy red is not my favorite red. Although
I like that part.
Well, that's all right. But that's kind of like to take
on a United Front.
Like the red that you find on Canadian maple trees. So I guess that's okay. I love the fact that the jacket turns into a toaster oven. It turns into a scarf. It turns into a pillow. And apparently it can even be a little VW bug. I think it's fantastic. What I don't love is the fact that there isn't a whole lot of selection. It all looks basically the same. And from a spectator's point of view and a fan's point of view, there really isn't anything to buy. So I used to be able to buy the other company, the Bay. I used to be able to buy things. I used to be able to buy like a scarf. I used to be able to buy, little things that I could do. And the mittens. Oh my goodness, I forgot that. I wondered what this special signal was there for a second, Charlotte.
This is mittens.
And they were on the Oprah show back in the day, 2010. But there used to be things to buy. And I don't find that there's anything that I can buy, much as I said, I would like the coat that turns into the toaster oven. I love it. But Laura Ewing and I, as I said, we are diametrically opposed. Okay, I yay. But that's how I feel about it. Maz, you get to go first and Charlene, as the designer and the fashion lead for 3Turn3, gets to have last word on this.
So I guess what I'm just going to think at first is they haven't gotten there yet. That's what I'm thinking. Because you know what, for a company to be able to take over, you know, the outfitting for the country, I think that I'm hoping that they're going to be able to figure out how to get this product out to the general population.
You can buy the stuff now, Maz.
What's that?
You can buy the stuff.
Right, but I'm just thinking about the amount. I think that maybe there are more things to come within the collection.
More items?
Yeah,
Okay.
More items to come within the collection, because as we've seen throughout, you know, history, you get everything from, you know, keychains to, you know, like what we just talked about, mittens and gloves and, you know, glasses and travel bags and this, that, or the other. So I'm hoping that maybe the collection is just, you know, starting out right now. I'm hoping.
I don't see Lululemon doing that because they're strictly a clothing retailer. So it's not like Roots, which sells, you know, back in the day when Roots had stuff, they, you know, sell all kinds of other things, you know, leather goods and whatever else. I don't know that. I mean, if I were looking into the future, I think that we're looking at the collection. I think that's it. That's what I think.
So
Charlene, you get to break the tie.
Here are my 2 cents, and this is a lot of pressure, and I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for what I'm about to say, but I don't.
No, just send the hate to me, people.
No, it's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it all. Here's my thing, PJ. Yes, I agree. I hope there are other items, but Lululemon is not. They are an upscale athleisure brand. They're not going to dilute their brand just because a couple of like cheapies like us want a little T-shirt. That's not their brand. And I think, you know, as with Roots back in the day, very Canadian brand, it made sense. Lululemon makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. It's a Canadian brand. They're not made here anymore and haven't been for years. But it makes sense. Now, are we elevating the Olympic experience? Yes. Does it fit in with the bougie figure skating aesthetic? Yes. Is it catering to, you know, John and Sally down the street? No. So I think that they're going to lose some people for the simple reason that there are a lot of people that just don't want to pay $100 for some tights. They're not, I don't see them diluting their brand. I think what you see is what you're getting. And I think that's how it's going to go. I don't mind the legging. I like the legging. They're fun, but it's like a muddy camo, and I love camo. So that's fine with me. I feel like a lot of pieces are clunky, but I feel like it's always with Olympic clothing, it's always like, okay, we need to make a statement and make this, you know, it needs to look different and cool. You know, going back to Summer Olympics, they had those dope jean jackets. Those were amazing.
Not made by Lululemon, by the way.
No, not made by Lululemon. But I mean, they were cool. I imagine that they probably came with some sort of hefty price tag because they were very cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that they come out with something other than, I mean, everyone loves Lululemon, but it doesn't fit in everyone's price point. So I can only hope that somebody does something for people who don't want to spend the doll hairs.
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, you guys, we've got one last comment. This is from Bonnie Lynn Porter. Thanks and loves our great chat. So happy to hear confirmation for sure that Stephen is back. We agree.
Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie used to be my coach when I was a baby.
Oh,
we love
Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Do you know what, guys? This has been, of course, like an amazing conversation. We're going to do it all again next week, I believe. Are we not, kids? I'd say
yes,
so.
We are.
Same time, same bad channel.
So if you want to visit my blog, pjkwong.com/blog. I haven't blogged in about 3 years on my own stuff, and I've just started again. This is blog number 2. I'm going to be writing again next week about NHK. We're going to wrap up what happens in Italy next week, as well as what's coming up in Japan. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is, oh, wait, there's one specific comment for Charlene before we sign off.
Ah, hi, Bonnie. Love you.
You know what? We think Charlene's beautiful too. Okay, my friends, that's about it. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk soon. Bye from 3Turn3.
Thank you.